this time we are going to be the ones graphing the inequalities. The graphs are not going to be given to us. So we're going to be plotting some XY points and then shading appropriately. So let's take a look at number 1. What we want to do is we want to graph these, and so we're going to put this X value, we're going to give it different numbers and see what our Y value comes out to be. So if I plug in an X value equal to 0, I would have 0 squared plus 2, which gives me a value of 2. So at 0 for X, I have a Y value of 2 that I can plot. If I plug in 1 for X, I get a Y value of 3, and if I plug in 2 for X, I get a Y value of 6, because 2 squared is 4 plus 2 is 6. Feel free to use your calculator on this if you need to. Alright, just using symmetry about that vertex now, about the axis of symmetry, I can get points on my other side, and I'm ready to graph a dashed line. How do I know it's dashed? Because I don't have the or equal to part on my inequality, so that indicates dashed line. Now I need to decide up or down. Because it's a less than symbol, I need to shade down. So I'm going to shade down below, which is down here, but it really just kind of carries all the way around the parabola. So you're shading outside of the parabola because we had to be able to shade below it. All right, let's look at our second one. Y is less than or equal to negative 5x squared. And so if I start doing the same thing, I'm just plugging in values for x. If I plug in 0 for x, this entire term is 0, so I get a point at the origin at 0, 0. If I plug in a 1, I'm going to get negative 5. If I plug in a 2, I'm going to get 2 squared is 4 times 5. I'm going to get negative 20. That's way too low to fit on my graph. So we're just going to call it good with 3 points this time. Remember, we can reflect to get that third point. And this time we have a solid line. Let's decide up or down. So from our vertex, which happens to be at the origin, I have a less than or equal to. So less than means down. So we're going inside the parabola, all in here. Not on the outside, but the inside, because that's where the arrow is pointing us when we go down. All right, on this third one, I'm going to plug in some values for x and see what my y is, just like I've been doing. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to plot the vertex, and I know that my vertex is at negative 4, 0. I can tell that because this is in vertex form. We could also get that point of negative 4, 0, or sorry, negative, I don't know why I'm saying negative 4, 0. It's at negative 4, negative 1. I apologize for that. We could get that by figuring out what would make the value inside my parentheses equal to 0. So a negative 4 plugged in for x would give me a value of 0 in the parentheses, and so a value of negative 1 overall, so that also gives me the negative 4, 0 point. All right, let's pick some points close to this. So if I pick negative 3, I'm going to get a value of negative 2. And again, use your calculator if you need to figure these out. And then at negative 2, if I move just one more over, I'm going to have negative 2 plus 4 is a positive 2, squared is 4, but I need to take the negative of that. So I'm going to have negative 4 minus 1, or negative 5. So at negative 2, I'm at negative 5. Since our axis of symmetry is not the y-axis, I'm just going to dash it in and show you that by symmetry we can add these two other points. And we're ready to draw our solid line. Remember, I know that it's solid because of the or equal to part, that extra line under the inequality. This tells me solid. Okay. Now I just need to decide above or below the vertex. And because this is a greater than, we're going up. We want bigger y numbers. We're greater. So let's go ahead and shade outside of the parabola, because that's where our arrow is pointing, is to the outside. All right, on this last one, let me go ahead and show you another way to do these. So another way to do these is to do them on Desmos, or even your calculator, in fact. So I'm going to show you Desmos. If we just take this inequality and we plot it in Desmos, it's going to look something like this. We can kind of adjust our window to see what we want to see. And so we can find out that our vertex is at -5, 0, and that we have another point at 0, 1. We could have picked out that 0, 1 from just looking at the equation. Our c value is 1, so we knew that our intercept was at 1. All right, so there's 2 points. I need a third point, so I'm going to scroll up here until I find another point. So I already have 0 and 1. I can look up here. Looks like at 1, I'm at 9. So 1, 9 would be another point that I could use. All right, so we have our vertex kind of halfway in between. Remember, that was at 0.5. And then we had a point at 0, 1 and at 1, 9. So here we go. Again, drawing in our axis of symmetry, we can go and get other points here. And we're ready to draw a dashed line. Dashed because we do not have the or equal to, it's just a less than. Less than also leads us to say that we need to shade below. So less than is going to be below, which is outside of the parabola, so we shade outside of the parabola.